In the days when the judges ruled, when there was no king in Israel and every man did what was right in his own eyes, the land groaned beneath the weight of famine, crops withered beneath the relentless sun, the hills of Bethlehem lay dry and cracked, and the once lush fields of Judah offered no bread to its people. Hunger had become a silent tyrant, driving even the faithful from their ancestral homes. Among those who rose to leave was a man named Elimelech of Bethlehem, of the tribe of Judah. With his wife Naomi and their 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, he turned his gaze eastward across the Jordan toward the green plains of Moab. Moab, a land born of a strange union, descended from Lot, nephew of Abraham. Though kin by blood, the Moabites were a people Israel had long kept at a distance, their gods foreign, their altars strange, their worship woven with incense and idols. Yet hunger dulls the sharp edge of prejudice, and desperation silences pride. So Elimelech's family crossed the river, carrying little more than hope that the foreign soil might offer what their homeland could not. In Moab they found sustenance. The land yielded grain. The people were hospitable enough to welcome wanderers. But time, that relentless tide, brought sorrow even in refuge. Elimelech died in that foreign land, leaving Naomi a widow in the midst of strangers. Her sons, seeking roots in alien soil, took wives among the Moabites, one named Orpah, the other Ruth. For 10 years they lived in Moab, yet neither woman bore a child. And then, as though fate's hand struck twice more, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, leaving Naomi bereft of husband and sons alike. Now 3 widows stood beneath the same sky, Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth, bound by grief and uncertain of the path ahead. Naomi, aged and worn, heard that the famine had lifted in Bethlehem. Word spread like a rumor carried on the wind. The Lord has visited his people and given them bread, Ruth 1:6. So she rose from her mourning, determined to return to her homeland. Her daughters-in-law followed her on the road that led westward, their feet stirring the dust of Moab, their hearts torn between duty and the unknown. After a long silence between them, Naomi turned and spoke with a tremor in her voice. "Go, return each of you to your mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me." Her blessing hung heavy in the air. She kissed them, and they wept aloud. "The Lord grant that you may find rest, each in the house of her husband," she said. But they clung to her and cried, "Surely we will return with you to your people." Ruth 1:8-10. Naomi pleaded again, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet sons in my womb that they may be your husbands?" She spoke of her bitterness, how the Lord's hand had gone out against her, how she had nothing left to offer but sorrow. Her words were heavy with despair, echoing the weariness of a woman who had lost everything. Orpah hesitated. Tears filled her eyes. She kissed Naomi's hand, a gesture of love and farewell, and turned back toward Moab. But Ruth stood unmoving. Her eyes, dark and steadfast, met Naomi's. "Entreat me not to leave you," she said, her voice quiet yet resolute, "or to return from following after you. For where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me." Ruth 1:16-17. In that moment something ancient stirred, a covenant not of law or blood, but of loyalty and love. Ruth, a Moabite, bound herself to Naomi and to the God of Israel, renouncing her homeland and its gods. Naomi saw her steadfastness and ceased urging her to return. Side by side, the 2 women continued on the long road to Bethlehem, their shadows stretching toward the land of promise. The journey was not merely one of miles, but of identity. Ruth was crossing from the world of Chemosh into the world of Yahweh, from despair into an uncertain faith. The hills of Judah rose before them like silent witnesses, their terraced slopes scarred from the years of famine, but now touched by the green of returning harvests. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the small town stirred with whispers. The women of the city exclaimed, "Is this Naomi?" But she answered, Call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord has brought me home again empty. Ruth 1:20-21. Naomi's words carried the ache of exile and loss. Yet as she spoke, the barley harvest was beginning in the fields, a silent symbol of renewal. The same land that once drove her away with famine now welcomed her return with abundance. Ruth stood beside her, a foreign woman among Israelites, her presence both strange and hopeful. She did not know that her journey from Moab had set in motion a lineage that would one day shape the destiny of kings. The days passed slowly, and Naomi and Ruth found themselves in need of sustenance. In Israel's ancient law, the poor and the stranger were granted the right to glean after the reapers, to gather the leftover grain that fell from the hands of harvesters. Leviticus 19:9-10. Ruth, humble and determined, asked permission to go to the fields and glean. Naomi nodded, her eyes dim but her heart stirring faintly with hope. So Ruth set out into the fields that surrounded Bethlehem, unaware that divine providence guided her steps toward a destiny she could not yet see. The sun rose golden over the fields, the wind carrying the scent of ripening barley. Reapers sang as they worked, their sickles flashing in the light. Ruth, clad in simple garments, walked behind them, gathering the stray stalks with careful hands. Each handful she gathered was more than grain. It was survival. It was faith in motion. And as the morning wore on, her steps led her into the portion of the field that belonged to a man named Boaz, a wealthy landowner of Bethlehem, a kinsman of Elimelech. At that moment, threads of fate began to weave together, unseen yet unbreakable. The man who would soon notice her was not merely a benefactor of kindness, but a vessel through whom redemption would take root. The harvest had begun, and with it, the unfolding of a story that would echo through generations. The wind whispered through the barley as Ruth worked, unaware that her faithfulness was being witnessed, not only by men, but by heaven itself. And in that sacred symmetry between famine and harvest, between loss and love, a new beginning was quietly being born. The sun lingered over the hills of Bethlehem as Ruth labored among the gleaners. Her movements were steady and humble, yet her diligence set her apart. The reapers took notice of the quiet Moabite woman who gathered behind them, her eyes lowered in reverence, her manner neither proud nor timid. Soon the owner of the field arrived from the town, Boaz, a man of standing, whose wealth was matched by wisdom and respect. He was of the clan of Elimelech, the very family Naomi had once belonged to before famine had torn them away. Boaz greeted his workers, saying, "The Lord be with you," and they answered, "The Lord bless you." Ruth 2:4. His voice carried kindness, his gaze both firm and gentle. As his eyes surveyed the field, they fell upon Ruth, her form bent among the sheaves, gathering grain with quiet persistence. Turning to his overseer, Boaz asked, "Whose young woman is this?" The foreman answered, "She is the Moabite who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab." She said, "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers." She has continued from morning until now, except for a short rest in the shelter. Boaz approached her, his footsteps soft on the earth. Ruth turned, uncertain, and bowed her face to the ground. "Listen, my daughter," Boaz said, his voice calm. "Do not go to glean in another field, nor leave this one, but stay close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field that they reap, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn." Ruth 2:8-9. Ruth, astonished by such kindness from a man of Israel, bowed deeply. "Why have I found favor in your eyes," she asked, "that you should take notice of me since I am a foreigner?" Boaz looked upon her and replied, "It has been fully told me all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother in the land of your birth, and came to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay your work, and a full reward be given you by the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to trust." Ruth 2:11-12. Her heart trembled at his words. In that moment, the blessing of Israel as God, the same God she had chosen, began to take root in her soul. Boaz, though a man of wealth, spoke not from pride but compassion. He had seen her faith, her courage, her quiet strength, virtues that transcended lineage and blood. When the hour came for the meal, Boaz invited her to eat with his workers. Bread was passed, grain dipped in vinegar, roasted kernels shared among them. Ruth ate until she was satisfied and saved some for Naomi. As she rose again to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, "Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. And let fall some of the handfuls on purpose for her. Leave them that she may glean them, and do not rebuke her." Ruth 2:15-16. The sun dipped low, painting the hills in gold and crimson. Ruth worked until evening, beating out what she had gathered, about an ephah of barley. She carried it back to the town, her arms full, her spirit weary yet bright with gratitude. Naomi, seeing the abundance, marveled. "Where have you gleaned today, and where did you work? Blessed be the man who took notice of you." Ruth told her, "The man's name with whom I work today is Boaz." Naomi's eyes widened, her expression shifting from sorrow to sudden recognition. "Blessed be he of the Lord who has not forsaken his kindness to the living and the dead. The man is a close relative of ours, one of our redeemers." Ruth 2:20. In Israel's ancient law, the Goel, or kinsman redeemer, held sacred duty to redeem the lost inheritance of a relative, to preserve a name within Israel. Naomi saw in Boaz not only provision, but the hand of providence. She urged Ruth to continue in his fields through the barley and wheat harvests, staying close to his servants. So Ruth gleaned until the final sheaf was bound, until the season of harvest gave way to the quiet expectancy of what might come next. As the fields emptied and the air grew still, Naomi began to ponder what must be done. The God who had brought them back to Bethlehem had not done so without purpose, and within that purpose she began to perceive redemption, not just for the land but for their lineage, and perhaps even for Ruth herself. The harvest had ended, and the threshing floors echoed with laughter and work. Boaz, the landowner, oversaw the winnowing of barley, separating grain from chaff in the night wind. In those days, after the reaping, men would feast and rest beside the mounds of grain to guard their yield. Naomi, watching the rhythm of the seasons, spoke to Ruth with quiet resolve. "My daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you? Now is not Boaz our kinsman, with whose maidens you were? Behold, he winnows barley tonight at the threshing floor." Naomi's plan was both daring and ancient. In Israel, a widow could appeal to the nearest kinsman for redemption, to take her under his protection, to raise up offspring in her husband's name. But the manner of appeal was steeped in humility and trust. "Wash yourself, therefore," Naomi instructed. "Anoint yourself and put on your best garment. Go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. And when he lies down, mark the place where he lies, then go uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do." Ruth listened intently, her heart steady. "All that you say I will do." She descended to the threshing floor under the veil of night, her steps light as a shadow. The air carried the scent of grain and the murmur of distant laughter. When the feast had ended and the workers lay sleeping, Boaz rested beside the heap of barley. Ruth approached quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. At midnight, Boaz stirred. Startled, he turned and saw a woman lying at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. Her voice trembled, yet it was clear. "I am Ruth, your handmaid. Spread the corner of your garment over me, for you are a redeemer." Ruth 3:9. Her words carried ancient symbolism. To cover a woman with one's garment was to extend protection and covenant. Ruth's request was not one of passion but of purpose, a plea for redemption through the divine order of kinship. Boaz looked upon her, moved by her courage and purity. "Blessed are you of the Lord, my daughter," he said, "for you have shown more kindness at the end than at the beginning, in that you did not go after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do all that you ask, for all the people of my town know that you are a virtuous woman." Yet there was a complication. "It is true that I am a redeemer," he said softly, "yet there is a redeemer nearer than I. Stay this night, and in the morning, if he will redeem you, Good, let him do so. But if he will not redeem you, then as the Lord lives, I will redeem you." He bid her rest at his feet until dawn. When the first light brushed the horizon, Ruth rose quietly before others could recognize her. Boaz, ever discreet, said, "Let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor." He gave her 6 measures of barley and sent her home to Naomi, a gift and a sign of his intent. When Ruth told Naomi all that had transpired, the older woman nodded with quiet wisdom. "Sit still, my daughter, until you know how the matter will turn out. For the man will not rest until he has concluded the matter this day." Ruth 3:18. The night's secrecy gave way to morning's purpose. The threshing floor, symbol of harvest and separation, had become the sacred place where faith met fulfillment. Ruth had done her part. Now the matter rested in the hands of the Redeemer and the unseen will of God. The next morning Boaz went up to the gate of Bethlehem, where the elders gathered to judge and witness. The town gate was not merely an entrance. It was the place of law and decision, where lineage and legacy were sealed. Boaz sat down and called for the nearer kinsman. When the man approached, Boaz said, "Naomi, who has come back from the country of Moab, is selling a parcel of land which belonged to our brother Elimelech. I thought to inform you, saying, 'Buy it in the presence of those sitting here and of the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, but if you will not, tell me that I may know. For there is no one but you to redeem it, and I come after you.' The man replied quickly, 'I will redeem it.' But Boaz continued, 'On the day you buy the field from Naomi, you must also acquire Ruth, the Moabite, the widow of the dead, to perpetuate the name of the dead through his inheritance.' The man hesitated. 'I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I impair my own inheritance. You redeem my right of redemption, for I cannot redeem it.' In ancient Israel, the transfer of such a right was confirmed by removing one a sandal and handing it to the other, a symbol of relinquished claim. So the man took off his sandal and gave it to Boaz, declaring, 'Buy it for yourself.' Boaz then proclaimed before the elders and the people, 'You are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's and all that was Chilion's and Mahlon's from the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Mahlon, I have acquired as my wife, to raise up the name of the dead on his inheritance, that the name of the dead may not be cut off from among his brethren and from the gate of his place. You are witnesses this day.' Ruth 4:9-10. The elders and people answered, 'We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming to your house like Rachel and Leah, who together built the house of Israel. And may you prosper in Ephrathah and be famous in Bethlehem.' Thus Ruth, once a foreigner gleaning behind reapers, became the wife of Boaz, redeemed not only by law, but by love. Their union sealed a covenant that transcended bloodlines. From their marriage came a son, whom Naomi held in her arms with tears of joy. The women said to her, 'Blessed be the Lord who has not left you this day without a redeemer, and may his name be famous in Israel. And may he be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age, for your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is better to you than 7 sons has borne him.' Ruth 4:14-15. Naomi's heart, once bitter as Mara, was now sweet again. She held the child upon her lap and named him Obed. Obed grew and became the father of Jesse, the father of David, Israel's beloved king. From Ruth, the Moabite would descend a royal line that would one day bring forth another redeemer, one whose wings would stretch not only over Israel but over all nations. And thus the story of Ruth became a living tapestry of redemption, a story of famine turned to harvest, of exile turned to belonging, of bitterness turned to joy. Through the faith of one foreign woman and the kindness of one righteous man, the line of kings was born, and the promise of divine providence was fulfilled. The fields of Bethlehem, once parched by famine, now stood as eternal witnesses. The same soil that had received Naomi's tears would cradle the promise of a future king. The years passed quietly in Bethlehem. The fields, once marked by famine and grief, now flourished with abundance. Ruth's life, once shrouded in the loss of Moab, had become the very symbol of divine restoration. In her story, every sorrow had been sewn into a greater design, a pattern woven by unseen hands that transcended her lifetime. Obed, the child of redemption, grew in the care of Naomi and Boaz. His laughter filled the courtyard where Naomi had once wept. His small hands carried the lineage of promise, the inheritance of grace. And though he was but a child in a small Judean town, through him the light of destiny flickered anew. For Obed would become the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of David, the shepherd king of Israel. In time, David's name would echo through the hills of Bethlehem, his songs rising from the pastures to the throne. He would unite the tribes, bring the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem, and establish a dynasty that would endure forever. Yet the roots of that royal tree traced back to the humble gleaner in the fields, to Ruth, the Moabite, whose faith had bridged nations and whose love had rewritten lineage. The story of Ruth is not merely one of romance or harvest. It is a revelation of divine order hidden in ordinary lives. Her journey from Moab to Bethlehem mirrored the journey of humanity itself. From exile toward redemption, from famine to fullness, from despair to divine purpose. Her decision to follow Naomi, uttered in that ancient vow, "Your people shall be my people and your God my God," became one of the most profound acts of faith ever recorded. In it, a Gentile woman embraced the covenant of Israel, prefiguring a time when all nations would be drawn beneath the wings of the same Redeemer she had sought. Boaz, the kinsman Redeemer, stood as a living emblem of mercy, a man whose righteousness bridged law and compassion. In him, the Mosaic command to protect the poor and the foreigner took on flesh and warmth. His act of redemption was not driven by obligation, but by grace. It foreshadowed a greater Redeemer yet to come, one who would not merely buy back land or lineage, but souls. Centuries later, in the same town where Boaz and Ruth had walked among the barley fields, another story would begin. A young virgin would bring forth a child, and shepherds would hear the announcement of angels. "Unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord." The lineage of Ruth and Boaz had carried the seed of divine promise all the way to Bethlehem. Through the faith of a Moabite woman, the faithfulness of a Redeemer, and the providence of God, the path to redemption had been prepared. The fields of Bethlehem, once the stage of Ruth's quiet labor, would one day witness the coming of the Redeemer himself, the Son of David, the fulfillment of the harvest. Thus, the book of Ruth closes not with an ending, but with a beginning. Her story is the turning of an ancient wheel, where famine becomes fruitfulness, sorrow becomes song, and mortality becomes legacy. The same God who guided Ruth through the shadows of Moab now weaves every thread of human history toward redemption. From Ruth's humble gleaning came a lineage that would change the world. From the widow's tears came the crown of a king, and from the fields of Bethlehem came the promise of salvation for all mankind. So ends the story of Ruth, the foreigner who became family, the widow who found favor, the stranger who bore the lineage of kings. Her life remains a testament that faith sown in obedience can reap a harvest of redemption that echoes across eternity. For the Redeemer she sought under the wings of Israel's God would in time stretch those same wings over the nations, gathering the lost, the lowly, and the forgotten, and turning the gleanings of a broken world into the abundance of his everlasting kingdom. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell. More Bible figures await.